We call the pyramids timeless, but the people who built them worked with deadlines, rations, schedules, and bosses. Between stone and sand are crew marks, vanished ramps, and clues to a brutal logistics engine time almost erased. Today we'll cross ancient craft with modern evidence. If you want the real how and the who behind the myth, subscribe, hit the bell, and stay with me to the final cut of stone. Drop a like and a comment to help this investigation reach more people. Base leveled with shallow water trenches, ropes, and A-frame plumbs. The square was laid out in ochre over stakes. The meridian came from a gnomon shadow. Draw a circle, record morning, afternoon crossings, and the bisector defines NS. With north locked, right angles follow using ropes and triangles. Great Pyramid surveys show minimal error, repetition, and inspection at work. Current archaeology confirms these steps. Crews split into haul lines, cutters and setters. Foremen kept pace and safety. Scribes logged quotas, shifts, and absences, tying lots to red marks on blocks. The job site had corridors, sled staging areas, and active setting fronts. Visual signals and rhythmic beats synchronized effort. Daily inspections fixed a drift and reallocated labor. Daily logistics powered the build. Bread and beer fueled shifts aligned to the Nile's cycle. Bakeries fired clay ovens before dawn. Dried fish and onions rounded out rations. Scribes tracked no-shows and shifted teams to match ramp tempo. That routine sustained years of hauling, cutting, and setting. Blocks were taken from bench quarries. Cut lines in ochre were chased with copper chisels and stone hammers. Perimeter channels freed the sides, then a shallow undercut. Wooden wedges and levers finished the release. The block was rotated, inspected, loaded on a sled, and sent down a damp sand track to the loading point. Flow was consistent. Quarry, ramp, sled on damp sand, dock, barge on the Nile. Water-lowered sled friction, linen ropes and wooden levers controlled motion. At the dock, wood chocks braced the block, lashed to the deck. Shipping rode the annual flood using canals and auxiliary ports. At destination, another sled hauled it to the plateau. Elevation combined packed earth ramps, sleds, and levers. Straight runs led to platforms for reorientation. Wraparound variants eased slope but lengthened the route. Damp sand and wood chocks managed friction and stops. On each platform, levers seated the block onto cradles so the course could advance. Instrumented ramp trials and 3D sims now compare effort, materials, and time. Fine work begins on the platform. The sled arrives. The block is levered onto chocks. An A-frame plumb checks vertical. Cords and charcoal lines guide the joint. To close gaps, the crew alternates micro-cutting and sand and water abrasion until contact is uniform. Control is tactile and visual. Bar vibration, tap tone, surface sheen. Tight tolerances without modern tools. The core climbs in steps. Each course places larger blocks inside and smaller on the edges to speed progress. Sleds reach the platforms. Levers and cradle chocks position stones. Short internal ramps of earth and mud brick link levels and shift as the build advances. Granite came from Aswan. Dolerite pounders cut channels around the blocks to free the base. Loaded on reinforced barges, it traveled north during the flood. On site, the weight demanded dedicated ramps, heavy sleds, and long levers. Teams tag their lots in red ochre. Names, symbols, positions. Blocks hit the ramp already marked, streamlining control and accountability. These discrete functional notes connect people to tasks and phases. If this link between marks and context helps the build click for you, stick with us in the next blocks. And don't forget to subscribe. Cutting paired copper with abrasive. Fine blade saws cut limestone with sand. On granite, copper guided while sand did the work. Bow drills with rods and abrasive bored holes. Wooden mauls and dolerite corrected volume. Pieces were tuned by wet polishing, stone on stone. Tool wear was constant. Peened blades, retouched edges, regular replacements across fronts. The NS axis came from simple, repeatable methods. Morning and afternoon mark where a gnomon's shadow meets a ground circle. The bisector defines the meridian. At night, paired stakes and a plumb align to circumpolar stars. With north fixed, chords project EW and diagonals check the square. Internal chambers needed planning from the lower courses. The main chamber uses granite beam roofs. Above, successive relief spaces spread loads before reaching the core. Charcoal marks guided fits. Cradle chocks and levers lifted each beam in short stages. Risk was constant. Sled slip, falling blocks, shards, heat exhaustion. To cut incidents, foremen used visual signals, platform pauses, chocks behind runners, and separate in-out lanes. When injuries happened, wood splints, linen wraps, and salves of honey and fat stabilized the worker. The workers' village sustained the site. Simple dorms, bakeries, workshops, fish prep areas. Blocks were arranged as tight lanes. Reed mats served as beds and low benches as work surfaces. Diet mainstays: bread, beer, fish, onions. Supervisors logged shifts and movements. Central administration ran the build. Scribes recorded block quotas, rations, and shifts. Official seals kept grain, beer, and tools flowing. The calendar tracked Nile floods. During inundation, more labor shifted to the site. Mobile audits checked block marks, consumption, and productivity before releasing new lots. QA happened on every platform. Joints were checked with thin palm strips and charcoal lines. Any gap triggered immediate rework, wet abrasion, micro-cutting, and chalk readjustment. Foreman validated alignment by cord and plumb. Rejected blocks cycled back. No advancing the course. Stones arrived near dimension, but were tuned on the platform. Seat prepared, block positioned, joint closed with wet abrasion and micro-cutting. Exterior faces were polished stone on stone with fine sand, aiming for continuous planes. Today, roughness scans and surface checks confirm extensive polish and tight plate tolerances. Beyond the pyramid stood a mortuary temple at the base, a processional causeway to the valley temple, and solar bark pits. Inscriptions and architectural remains mark construction and finishing phases. Modern surveys and digs align these features to the build schedule. Processions move along the causeway. Incense burns in the mortuary temple. Offerings are placed. Supervisors record completion through marks and counts. Today, residues of incense, pigments, and finishing traces help date and confirm the final sequence. Not every step survived. Temporary ramps were dismantled. Many charcoal marks vanished with polishing. Ostraca records were lost. Modern research sets boundaries, compare traces, simulate scenarios, and accept uncertainty where data won't pick a single answer. Those gaps are part of the real picture. To verify methods, experimental archaeology replicates key steps: hauling on damp sand, levering, abrasive polishing. We measure force, time, and wear, then compare produced marks to those on the stones. Consistent results strengthen the case that organization, simple tools, and repeatable procedures explain performance. Where data diverges, we revise the model and test again. Crew marks and workers' tombs record roles like cutter, sled hauler, foreman, and scribe, plain titles with pride in craft. Burials near the site show funerary care and bonds among colleagues. In the lab, bones and teeth reveal origin, diet, and occupational load, bringing anonymous faces closer. After handoff came early repairs, joints rechecked, stones replaced, perimeter paving consolidated. In the material record, refurb faces leave subtle shifts in color, texture, and joints. Today, mapping and surface analysis separate later interventions from the original core. The sequence loops repeated steps: bench extraction, sled transport over damp sand, ramp ascent, levering with cradles, seating with chocks, verification by plumb, cord, and charcoal, joints closed by wet abrasion and polish. Modern evidence confirms marks, tolerances, and material sources.
This career was full of bad experience, so the guidance of the next free name.
The pyramids are the product of state planning, specialized teams, and repeatable procedures. Simple tools, rope, plumb, lever, plus Nile logistics and rigorous QA explain the build. Crew marks, worker villages, and lab analyses connect people to process. What remains open are route details and local variations, now probed with measurements and experiments. The authorship stands: Old Kingdom Egyptians,